Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In December I'm doing 3 reviews about 3 magazines published by Decision Games. I started with Windhoek, that is the attached game in Strategy and Tactics number 313. Before Christmas I'm going also to introduce a legendary word game that is Africa Core, together with a similar game that will be released in April 2019 by an Italian publisher. Temporary title Heroes Without Weapons. Last but not least, I'm analyzing carefully 3 strategic war games about the First World War. The Great War by Albert Noffy. The Lamps Are Going Out by the designer Kirk Ullman, and the famous World War I, a former SPI, designed by Joseph Miranda. Who will be the winner? Stay tuned, guys, and you'll discover that. Thank you for your attention and hope to see you soon. Bye. Well guys, in front of you the magazine Strategy and Tactics, precisely the number 313, entitled Windhoek. Well, you can see that there is a different spelling. This is the typical spelling of the African language. Well, but I realized that you can pronounce that by using U instead of OE, that is Windhoek. Well, what's Windhoek? Actually, Windhoek is the capital of the modern Namibia, but during 1914 and 15, Windhoek was the main city of the German colony located in the southwest Africa, and a colony that was difficult to defend and in fact was attacked by the British troops. On the cover you find a British crew with a typical howitzer that was used in India, but also the British troop that fought in Namibia could use, and it's a howitzer of 57 millimeters, if I'm not wrong, and it was quite effective during the clash. On your left you have the rules manual about the attached game that has the same title, that is Windhoek. 16 pages of rules. Please remember that albeit this game is not so this historical event is not so famous, is far from the typical battles that we love. Well, this game, designed by Joseph Miranda, is very interesting when you are considering the mechanics used. Well, the rule about the action points is very intelligent and effective. Anyway, let's put aside the manual of the rules. We are going to analyze the mechanics later, and now let's browse quickly the magazine. As usual, we have some advertisements about the war game published by Decision Games, World War I. Please remember that soon I compare World War I, this quite famous strategic World War I game. I'm going to compare it with other 2 war games, that is The Lamps Are Going Out, published by Compass Games, and another old legend, that is The Great War by Noffy, and published by the One Small Step, if I'm not wrong. Other advertisements, and well, now let's have a look at the 4 major articles. Well, 4 major articles, obviously the The main one is the article about Windhoek, this campaign in Southwest Africa, this double campaign. We have two different campaigns during these 2 years, that is 1914 and 1915. Then we have a sort of what if, a different strategy that Athens could lead to defeat Sparta. Well, the writer is John Gleisner. In every case, John Gleisner has the chance to give the information about the Peloponnesian War. Then at page 38 was successful defeat. Well, a defeat that led to a big waste of time and force the British army. The general, the American general was Green, and I don't remember the name of the other general. I think Cornwallis. Anyway, interesting article about the typical way of fighting of the American army against the powerful British army during the American independence. Last but not least, the flight of the Crimson Banner, an article about the naval battle of Portland fought in 1873. Then please don't forget the departments. A mention for Custer's Gatling guns, an interesting article about the possibility to use the powerful Gatling during the Indian Wars, especially at Little Big Horn. Let's browse quickly the magazine. Well done, this article about Windhoek, a very interesting map about the political situation in Africa during 1914. You can say all the European colonies. In gray you can find the German colonies. Obviously the orange is the color that distinguishes the British colonies. As usual, interesting charts about the German forces and also the British forces. First invasion, please remember that the article deals with the double invasion. Another map about the first invasion, other picture, and the second invasion that obviously was successful. And then other pages of advertisements. Obviously in the center of the magazine you find two quick descriptions about Windhoek. Please remember that you can buy the magazine without or with the game. In this case, I don't know, you can buy this magazine by Barnes and Nobles if you want, but you won't find the attached game. Then the article about Athens and Sparta. At the page 38 you find Hobkirk's Hill. This is a successful defeat. Yes, Nathaniel Green, against the general. Yes, I was right, against Charles Cornwallis. As usual, you find a map of the battle. Let's browse, and the last major article is about the naval battle of Portman, 1873, and you find the naval battle of Portman, early phases, naval battle of Portman, the end of this battle, work in progress. There is an anticipation about Red Tide South, another war game about the World War III in Europe during the 80s. As usual, the famous Did You Know? Short military news that deserve the players' attention. Another article about Pyrrhus, As usual, you find a clear map, the article about Little Big Horn, and the chance that Custer had to use the Gatling guns. Another article about the fighting ship in the Yangtze or Changjiang, in short, Long River. Contingents in World War I, Cook Island. Well, and then the magazine is closed by other advertisement, and as usual, I love this page, 50 and more years of tradition. Well, starting from the number 13, well, Battle of Britain. Well, I'm a lucky owner of this magazine, of this issue. Number 113, another good game, Napoleon and the Archduke Charles. And unfortunately, I didn't play this Patton, Master of War. Well, I don't know if we can consider this a good game. Well, guys, it's over as regards the magazine. Now we are dedicating the second part of the video to the analysis of the mechanics of the game, of the included game, entitled Windhoek. Stay tuned. Well, guys, welcome back to the final part of our video about Windhoek. Now we are going to deploy the counters of this game about the British invasion of this German colony in Southwest Africa, modern Namibia. At first, I have already analyzed the details concerning this game, and obviously my first suggestion is, well, you have the first two pages are about a description of the units. As I said, very easy units to read. You have only a combat factor, movement allowance, and the typical NATO symbol. We have above all mobile units, that is mounted soldiers. In this case, please have a look at the mounted rifles, the German mounted rifles. And then we have the commando, the British commando, where combined arms column British. So we have a certain variety of different units, and you can realize that by analyzing the long list about the unit abbreviation that are used in the game. Well, if you notice, German Camel Corps, Fliegertruppen, FDK, etc. Then you find South African and British units, and you have a long list of acronyms and abbreviations. So page 2, page 3, and finally, well, I can say that in the last strategy and tactics war games, well, the rules are very well organized. At the very beginning of the rules, we find the victory condition. Well, victory condition, well, we have Allied sudden death victory. The Allies win if at any time they control all towns of the map. So actually, if you want to give a look at the map, you can find that we have the main town, Windhoek, the capital of the modern Namibia. Then we have Keetmanshoop, Luderitz Bay. So the British troops have to seize the several German cities that are spread on the map. On the other side, the Germans wins if at any time they control all the following: all towns in German Southwest Africa, 3 towns in South Africa. Well, a tough task since, well, they are outnumbered. Well, set out game. What do we have to do to set out game? Well, at first the German player sets up first. So guys, here are the German units. So I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to deploy the units, and I'll be able to continue with the explanation of the mechanics. As regards the German setup, well, you have first of all to place the 6 militia units in town hexes, no more than 1 per town hex. Well, so you have 1 militia unit in Luderitz Bay, another one in the town called Zwokomund, then the militia located in Windhoek, Otavi, Kitmanship, and Warmbed. So these are the 6 militia unit. Then you had to place a plane in the German unit box. Well, only 1 German air unit. And then please remember that as I anticipated in the video, you have to consider the starting German actions points. Well, at the beginning I rolled the die and I got 3, so well, I'm placing the German AP counter or better marker on the 3 space. Then we have to place the wireless unit. I'm going to show you the wireless unit. Well, here you are, 2 wireless unit we have, and in any port, and 1 wireless unit in any other town. So I'm going to place 1 wireless unit in Windhoek, and the other one, well, I'm going to place that in Kitmanship. I don't know if it's a good idea. Let's continue. We have 7 mounted rifle companies, 2-7. I'm going to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 units. These 7 units, together with a camel corps, a 2-6 unit, well, a camel corps. Then you have 3 artillery units, 3 Thor, well, I'm going other 3 artillery units, and an engineer unit, a 2-5 unit, well, here is the other unit, and 2 supply convoys, 1 and 2. Well, I'm not placing other markers. You can buy, I want to remind the players that they can buy other units by using action points. Anyway, where can we place this unit? Well, I'm going to place, without thinking a real strategy, well, I'm placing these 2-7 units on the town. So here next to Walvis Bay, Windhoek, Otavi, Kitmanship, then Warmbed, Luderitz Bay. What about the artillery? Well, obviously placing the artillery here at this port next to Walvis Bay. Please remember that the British troops start from this hex. I'm placing 1 convoy, well, in Windhoek, and another one in Kitmanship. Well, 2 artillery left, 1 artillery in Luderitz, and 1 other artillery in this town, warm bed that is along the South African border. The Camel Corps here, well, in Caribbean, well, you can place also the unit in the German settlements, and the engineer here in the town called Scheppmansdorf. So, well, it's over as regards the placement of the units. I can remember that you can recruit up 2 for MEK Marine Infantry companies. Well, I have forgotten the Boer unit. Let me see. Yes, the Boer rebel force placed in any town settlement. So I'm placing this sort of Boer units here in Kalkfont. And what about the leader? I'm placing Franke in Kitmanship and von Heydrich here in Windhoek. Well, showing you, sorry, I'm without tweezers. Well, so as you can see, well, the German deployment is over. Not so many units, so I can affirm that the game should be quite simple to handle. Now let's place the British units. So I have completed the Allied setup. Well, I rolled the die and I got 4. So at the beginning of the game, the Allies have 4 action points. They have also a naval unit. Actually, these naval units affect the combat. We have a 4-0 unit in Walvis Bay, but please pay attention to the 3 columns that are starting mainly from Union South Africa. Well, I placed this unit here in the box, in the red box called Allied Cape Colony, connects to hex 4131. Actually, you can place the units here and you can from this starting hex. So actually, instead of using the units, you can use this marker, column C, starting from Springbok, then Port Nolloth, column B, and column A, starting from X 4131. As regards the turn, well, I placed the marker on September 1914, and it's all as regards the starting setup. Now we can have a look at the sequence of play that correctly the designer inserted at the point 7 of the rules, a sequence of play. Please remember that there is a phase called events phase, and you have to roll the die and to check the possible event. If you notice, we have German blockade runner, Ausland Rebellion, guerrillas, etc. So from 2 up to 12. So at the beginning you roll on the event charts. Then you have a light turn, action point, determination phase, recruit phase. The allies may expand APs to build reinforcement units and special markers. March phase, well, a march phase is composed of a movement segment and a following battle segment. Then, as usual, you have to check the supply, and there is a possibility to rally the units. Well, the German turn follows the same outline, and at the end of these 2 players' turns, well, the turn is over. Events phase already analyzed. Let's have a look at the recruiting. Well, you can use action point to recruit units. The zone of control is, we can consider it rigid. There are many units that don't have the zone of control. Actually, all the combat units have the zone of control. Marches, well, the movement. You can move in a traditional way, and please remember that to activate a single force, well, each player has to spend one action point. Land unit movement, no problem about. The units have to stop when they enter an enemy zone of control. Combat procedure, well, for each unit roll one die. If the result is less than or equal to the firing unit's combat factor, inflict one hit on one enemy unit. If the die roll is greater than the unit's printed combat factor, there is no effect. So actually, no problem about the combat procedure. And I want to show you the precise sequence. You have a first artillery round when the enemy units are adjacent. The player with the battlefield advantage. Well, another new phrase. How can you determine the battlefield advantage? Well, you have simply to consider some modifiers. For example, +1 if a player has one or more leaders involved. So we have to determine the importance of the leader. If a player's force consists entirely of units with ZOC indicators. +1 if a player commits an aeroplane. So actually the first artillery round is determined by the battlefield advantage. Then the player without the battlefield advantage can roll the die or can use his artillery units. Then we have the first close combat round. The player with the battlefield advantage initiates combat with his non-artillery units. So the battlefield advantage is very important. Second close combat round. The player without the battlefield advantage initiates combat with his non-artillery units. Victory determination, well, the point 17. Let's consider how can you determine the battle outcome. A player wins a battle if at the end of the combat he has at least one surviving good order unit and all enemy units have been eliminated or disrupted. Losing side, a player loses a battle if all his forces have been eliminated or disrupted, and the enemy obviously has at least one surviving good order unit. Well, this is everything that regards the combat phase. You have, as usual, the withdrawal, and no problem about the withdrawal. Actually, at the end of the battle, the losing side has to withdraw. There is also an advance after combat. The supply is very easy. Actually, 5 hexes of range from the supply source. Point 18, a player checks supply during the friendly supply phase. Units that cannot trace a line of supply to a supply source are out of supply and are subject to attrition check. Let me see. Unlimited number of hexes about units that are adjacent or on to a functional railroad line. I'm going to show you on the map the railroad line. Actually, you have a railroad line that crosses the map. Well, railroad operation, aeroplane and naval gunfire, already said, they affect the modifiers that assign the battlefield advantage. And well, we can also put apart the detail. It's all, well, actually 16 pages of rules. An interesting topic. Why? Because well, I have never played a game set in Southwest Africa, and you can also understand something more about the units that were used in this far colony. Well, I hope to be clear, and I hope to see you for the very coming soon videos about the First World War. Thank you for your attention and have fun.